Schmoozing with Brad. You know what happened once again? It's like Groundhog's Day here. Joe Biden was again proclaimed the winner of the presidential election. Like, we didn't know this already, but now they've been proclaimed.
Insanity.
It's been proclaimed again, but this time by the Electoral College, which is basically for the last 200 and some odd years of the Republic of the United States of America. It's been kind of like a ritual, a pro forma thing where they rubber stamp it. But this year, oh my God, nobody could say he actually became the president until the Electoral College came to vote. And everybody was nervous. What if the people from Michigan or Wisconsin or Arizona or Georgia, they just don't go with the will of the people and they just say, we're voting for Trump anyway? Well, none of that happened. The democratic institutions of the United States held firm. The Electoral College followed the will of the people and voted Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. As a matter of fact, now the Speaker of the House, who refused to say whether or not Joe Biden was in fact the president of the United States, he came out today, Mitch McConnell, and he said, yes, in fact, Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. He congratulated Joe Biden, and he asked all of his colleagues, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives, to stop this further nonsense of saying that Joe Biden is not the president or is not the legitimate president. Mitch McConnell, the head majority leader of the Senate, of the Republican caucus, he's the most powerful Republican in the United States, I guess short of Donald Trump, probably more powerful than even Mike Pence. And he came out and he said today, Joe Biden is going to be the next president, and the Republicans have to now understand that. Furthermore, you know who also came out and congratulated Joe Biden today? Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin came and congratulated Joe Biden today as well. Yeah, now, Vladimir Putin, he doesn't like Joe Biden. He doesn't like Joe Biden. Joe Biden said to him, Joe Biden in his book, in his memoir, claims, I don't know if anybody else heard it, but this is what Joe Biden claims in his memoir, that he looked at Vladimir Putin right in the eyes and he says, I don't think you got a soul. Now, so if in fact that is what happened, that's what he claims in his memoir. Yeah, I mean, that's not a very flattering picture of Vlad. But apparently, if that's what he said in his memoir, Vlad's probably not too happy that, Trump, who, many people believe, was in the pocket of Vladimir Putin. We don't have any specific evidence. It just seems very odd that, Donald Trump really caved into Vladimir Putin when he didn't cave into many other leaders. But it appears that Vladimir Putin's not too happy about Joe Biden, but he did wish him congratulations. And when I say, the democratic institutions of the United States held up, it is a Supreme Court that has been a majority of the Supreme Court of the United States was nominated and put in by Republican presidents. So you would think that a majority put in by Republican presidents, including Kavanaugh right there and Justice Roberts, he's a Supreme Court majority leader. You would think that the Supreme Court, if they were playing politics, would have taken up some of the cases that Donald Trump brought in federal court to overturn the election and the will of the people, and they summarily dismissed all of Donald Trump's cases, including the most recent one with the state of Texas suing Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, saying that their absentee ballots were illegal, and as a result of the absentee ballots being illegal, none of the voting in those 4 states should be counted, and it should be up to the state legislatures to decide who the electors from the Electoral College should be voting for. And the Supreme Court, in a one-sentence decision, dismissed the case as being absolutely not within their realm to decide. So, the democratic institutions of the United States held up. When the Republican governor of Georgia declared Joe Biden as the winner of the presidential election in Georgia, when the state Secretary of State, who's also Republican, who's in charge of counting the votes, declared Joe Biden as the winner, even though Donald Trump put a lot of pressure on them to say otherwise, the democratic institutions held up. When, the Wisconsin state Supreme Court, who is a majority Republicans, refused to hear Donald Trump's lawsuits regarding illegal and fraudulent ballots in Wisconsin, even though it's a Republican court. the democratic institutions held up. People were following the law, and they weren't blindly following Donald Trump, although, he probably wanted them to do so. Meanwhile, the FDA over the weekend gave Pfizer the green light to start injecting people. And yesterday, thousands of vials of the vaccine were shipped to all 50 states. Top U.S. officials hope that the healthcare workers will begin administering the injections immediately. Some have already been given. Sandra Lindsay, a critical care nurse at Long Island Jewish Medical Center, received the first dose of the 2-dose vaccine on camera around 9:20 a.m. at the Queens Hospital as Governor Andrew Cuomo looked on. This morning, also, the FDA released a detailed analysis of the COVID vaccine for Moderna. They expect to approve that as well a little later in the week. So that should also start being administered. The Moderna shots as well as the Pfizer shots should be starting to be administered shortly. And by the way, there's really not a big difference between the Moderna and the Pfizer one. They both work on the same scientific theory of taking RNA. Do you remember RNA from biology, guys, or that's
RNA.
RNA. Do you remember that from biology class, or you don't remember that?
No.
So RNA is the building.
Science wasn't my groove.
Science wasn't your groove. I figured that. So it wasn't mine either, which is why I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. But I vaguely remember some things. And one of the vague things I remember is the RNA is the building blocks of the DNA. And that's the RNA tells the DNA what to do and how to formulate inside your body. And I'm saying this in a very, very, very basic way. So what they're doing is they are injecting RNA into your body. They're not injecting. It's a new way to give a vaccine. They've never done a vaccine like this before. In past, they would give a vaccine of a dead virus or a skeletal virus that would cause a reaction that did not make you sick, but caused a reaction in your body to fight off a future virus and make antibodies. Could trick the body into believing that you have the virus when you don't. Now here, this RNA is completely different. It's not tricking the body into anything. What it's doing is RNA is telling the DNA how to combine themselves to create an antibody within your body to fight off COVID.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically giving instructions to your DNA to build an antibody to fight off COVID whenever it may happen. This is the first, very advanced science stuff. I mean, this is like Star Wars things, or Star Trek things or whatever,
All I see the blood kind of like just conforming and just like moving around inside.
Yeah, and it's basically giving instructions to your DNA to make an antibody. So people are now concerned that this injection is changing people's DNA inside their bodies, and there's a lot of ethical considerations, I guess. But from all things, people who got the shot, nobody lost fingers or turned green or yellow or orange. But it's a different type of vaccine than what you would be getting in many of the other vaccines that are being developed around the world. And many of the others, they're just basically giving you dead COVID virus or COVID virus that's skeletal, that doesn't necessarily make you sick.
Which one do you like?
I like the RNA one. I don't like to be injected with a virus.
So you like
I think so. To me, about 3-4 months ago, less than 50% of Americans said they were going to get the COVID shot. Now it has risen to more than 70% of Americans say they will, in fact, take the COVID shot. The 70% mark is the mark that is needed to end the pandemic in the United States of America. If 70% of Americans are either vaccinated or have got the COVID already and therefore have the antibodies, that is what is going to turn America back to normal, whatever normal may be. We don't have to wear masks or anything else. So that's the goal, 70% people willing to take the vaccine. And apparently, as of this moment, that's what the polling is showing. Now, what is also happening is that, and we talked about this a little bit already, the government can't force you to take a vaccine, but Many other businesses can, and it's completely legal in the United States, and this has already been tested in the Supreme Court. So, employers can say, you're not allowed back in our office unless you take a vaccine. Not only because we want to protect our other employees, but maybe we have, it's good for business because maybe we have customers who are walking through our stores or our offices, and we want to be able to tell our customers, and we want to be able to tell, people who are walking through our business that it's a safe business to come to. Our employees are not going to give you COVID. So there's legitimate business reasons. There's legitimate business reasons for companies to say, we're going to require you to have a vaccine. And the same thing with airlines. Imagine a marketing for an airline. You're 100% safe on our airline. All our employees have had the vaccine, and we don't let you on our plane unless you had a vaccine. So, there's perfectly legitimate business reasons for doing it. Just like, there's been schools that mandate you have to have polio vaccine, for example, before you're allowed in your school, or measles vaccine. And school districts have been, mandating it for decades here in the United States. So I think even if people ultimately don't want to take the vaccine, they're going to end up having to do it. Because other than that, they're going to be shut out of many things that we take for granted. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I like I said, I've gone from a hard no to I'm thinking about it. So I think that's the same mindset a lot of Americans are in right now, which is why it went up so much. So
meanwhile,
I'm just waiting.
Yeah, what do you think, Vanessa?
No, I agree. I can totally see how it should be something mandatory, especially for people working in spaces like retail stores or more confined spaces, because it is important for at least the team to be confirmed that they're walking through the space and they're tested and they're safe.
And at this point, I'm just ready. Like, I'm sick and tired. I can't go home for Christmas. This is the first Christmas of my entire life that my family is not going to be able to spend Christmas together because of the cases in California. So it's almost like I'm over it. What do I have to do to get this ish over, and done to where we could all go back to our normal lives? So I think that's where a lot of us are at.
That's where I'm at. When I look at it from my point of view, and maybe it's a different point of view, because you guys are a lot younger than me. But certainly from my point of view, I say, well, if I get COVID, in 2, 3, 4 years, I'm now at that age where it could become deadly for me. Number two, I want to enjoy the rest of my life. It's not like I have another 80 years of life. I have, 30, 35 years of life. Figure you live to 85, 90 years old, if I'm lucky. All right, I'm 52 years old right now. So, and I want to enjoy it. I'll take the risk of what this is going to do to me in 30 years from now so I can enjoy my life between now and the next 30 years.
Exactly.
All right. I don't know what it'll do to me in 30 years. I know in the short term, it's already been proven scientifically that at least in the short term, there's no short-term effects that are going to, cause a huge problem in my life. In the long term, I don't know. Nobody knows for sure. But I'm willing to take that risk because I've taken lots of that. I've taken the flu vaccine for 20 years. I have many different vaccines in my body. I've lived this far, so I'm willing to take the risk so I could enjoy my life and we can go get back to normal in America. And I'll worry about in 30 years what it will be, because if we don't take the vaccine, then we're worried about what's going to happen next month and 2 months and 3 months from now. That's how I look at it. There's a risk in both ways.
Yeah.
There's a risk both ways, no question about it. But when you weigh taking, getting rid of short-term risk for an unknown long-term risk, which may not be any risk at all, or may be something we don't know, versus to continue to live like this, I'll push the can down the road 20, 30 years. Worry about it in 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I look at it. Now,
I'm here with you.
You could be different because, maybe you guys are younger than me. I don't know. Meanwhile, you guys hungry right now? I'm a bit hungry.
I'm always hungry.
Yeah.
You already know that.
Yeah, problem is we can't go to dinner anymore or lunch in a New York City restaurant inside. Yeah, Governor Cuomo shut down indoor dining in New York City. And as a matter of fact, we're going to get a big snowstorm here tomorrow. So they've shut down outdoor dining as well so that the snow plows can come and plow the roads and cars don't go crashing on a snowy day into people eating on sidewalks. So you know, our battered restaurant industry, I feel so bad for people who own restaurants or work in restaurants, or, you know, even people. I was speaking to a client today. He distributes fish to a restaurant. He says, my business is terrible. So, I mean, there's so many people who get affected when restaurants. I just feel bad for that entire industry. You know, every day you don't know if you have a job, you don't have a job, you're going to work, you're not going to work. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But that's unfortunately what's happening right now. I never felt completely unsafe eating in. Just me, eating inside. You know, some people do, but I didn't find it completely unsafe eating inside of a restaurant. The tables were far apart. The waiters have masks on. Nobody was really congregating around me other than the person I was with. I don't, you know, listen, I'm a big Cuomo supporter, but I don't know if I don't know if I support this one. What do you guys think?
I mean, I haven't gone indoor dining, so I don't know exactly how it felt. I've done indoor, like, other, you know, gatherings or whatever. So I feel like, you know, during the holiday season, I think it's pretty smart that he still did this, even though it's not a popular thing, just because after Thanksgiving, when everybody came together, like, it rose. So, like, I feel like it's gonna rise again for Christmas time. So, like, the fact that he's doing this now, and then, like, right after, you know, the holidays, you can reopen, and I think that will kind of balance out, because I feel like it's already gonna go skyrocket because of Christmas. So maybe that's why he did it.
I don't know, because, you know, they have the outdoor dining, but then the restaurants put a cloth
enclosed
covering. They enclose it 3 ways. So, I mean, what's the big difference? You're eating outside. One side is open, 3 sides are closed, the roof on top. What's the difference between that and just open the damn windows in the restaurant? And, you know.
Well, you can't open the windows of the restaurant.
You can many times. I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, but if you're eating outside in 20-degree weather, your food's getting cold anyway.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Vanessa, what do you think of all this while I get ready?
Why just dining? Like, there's so many people. I was checking this out on social media, and they're like, okay, surely, right, with restaurants, but what about other places where people are in close proximity that aren't being closed down?
Like the gym?
Like the gym, exactly. There's things like that. So I see a lot of talk on social media.
Why is the gym? Why are you safe in a gym but not safe in a restaurant? The whole thing makes no sense to me.
At the gym, you have to have your mask on the entire time. They literally troll around you throughout the whole day and make sure that everybody has their mask on.
Well, I guess in a restaurant, you're right.
Mask on the whole time because you have to eat.
You're right.
Sitting and talking. Right when you sit down at your table, you could take off your mask. It's a big difference.
But then you're going to eat at home, and maybe you'll invite people over to your home. You're going to be without masks on there too, no?
Well, at that point, you know, you do whatever you want at your own place. But like when it becomes a business, you know, that's a liability. Now it's like, say somebody gets COVID when they went to, it's like, oh, I haven't gone out anywhere, but I went to your restaurant. Now I have COVID. You know, it's a liability. So yeah, I think that's one.
I don't know if when the restaurants have the tables far apart, I don't necessarily buy it, but okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. You know what time it is? It's tea time. I'm a bit thirsty.
Tea time.
It is tea time. Meanwhile, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, country singers, they're married. Yeah, with Christmas next week, they started to show off their Christmas decorations.
Oh, my God.
And even Tim McGraw, he was given some massive decorating instructions by his wife, Faith. The I Called Mama singer took to Instagram on Tuesday to share the wild side of him sitting atop an extremely high ladder in order to wrap tinsel around the impressively large pine in, I guess that's their home. Very nice home. McGraw remained in good spirits over the tall task and encouraged fans to guess what was going on in a 3-picture slideshow of him hard at work. A, Santa's lead flying reindeer, or B, wife trying to get rid of me before Christmas, said the 3-time Grammy. I would say wife trying to get rid of him before Christmas.
Yeah, I agree.
If I was up on that ladder, I would go flying over. I have like the worst. I would be taking a dive. Uncle Brad would be in the hospital. There'd be no Bradshaw alive for a very long time. Faith Hill, if I was married to her, it would have been a short marriage. She would have killed me by Christmas.
Well, that's a good husband, though. That's a good husband.
That is a very good husband.
How high do you guys think that tree is?
That home. Can we go back to the picture a second? Let's see.
Let's
home, that's 3 sets of windows. Sheesh. So that home's got to be at least 2.5 to 3 stories high there. So figure 10 feet per window. It's close to 30 feet up in the air, 3 stories.
Wow.
So he's got to be 3 stories up in the air, right?
That's insane.
Doesn't that look like 3 stories? Because look at the windows, 1, 2, 3.
It looked like 2 stories, I think.
2 stories, maybe 3, somewhere between 20 to 30.
Even so, yeah.
Somewhere between 20 to 30 feet.
But still,
high up.
That looks insane. I'm looking at my Christmas tree now. I just want to kick it down.
My Christmas tree cost me $20.
Yeah, I was this weekend. I was in a very tall building this weekend, and I looked out the window, and all of a sudden, this guy coming down on the thing like that.
Oh,
He must have been 7. I was on floor 70 something. I don't remember, 76,
Nope.
77. And this guy's coming down, and he's you know. I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough money to come down on the rope and go. And he does this all day long, cleaning that building.
Absolutely not. I have a huge fear of heights, so that absolutely wouldn't happen. Yeah. You'll never see me doing
that. You will never see me doing that. I would starve on the street, you know, and I'd be, you know, living with the rats before they have me.
You're afraid of heights too, right? We're getting a comment here, Maxine.
Yeah, before they have me wheeling down the side of a building, washing windows. No way.
No way. Heights, Uncle Brad, and Yo-Yo.
And I will never marry Faith Hill, no matter how much she loves me, no matter how beautiful she is, because there's no way in hell I'm climbing up 3 stories to put tinsel on a Christmas tree for her. Let me have some tea. I'm getting all nervous now thinking of all this heights.
Just think of it.
The tea will calm me down. Meanwhile, Ben and Jerry, you know them, the ice cream people, they're teaming up with Colin Kaepernick and debuting a new flavor in honor of the former NFL player, with his portion of the proceeds going to his Know Your Rights campaign, a nonprofit devoted to Black and brown communities. The non-dairy frozen dessert, dubbed Change the World, WHIRLED. So it's not world, it's world.
Oh, that's dope.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be sold nationwide next year. It's going to be caramel sunflower butter base with fudge chips, graham cracker, and chocolate cookie swirls. And the ice cream, I was about to say you'll change the world, but you'll die of a heart attack in the meantime. But then I spoke too soon.
Non-dairy.
It's non-dairy, and it's vegan as well.
Wow, that's huge.
Would you look at that?
Yeah. Now
I hope this sells out as quick as Gwyneth Paltrow's candles.
I hope that sounds good. What did Gwyneth Paltrow's candles go to? Any charity?
No.
Her pocket.
Right. And we're not saying, you know, this ice cream smells like Colin or tastes like Colin. We're just putting his name on it, and it goes to his charity, which is very, very nice. And by the way, for those few who don't know, Colin Kaepernick is famous for bringing to light social injustice and kneeling during NFL football games before it became vogue to discuss social injustice in the United States. He took a lot of flack. He lost his job. He lost a starting quarterback career in the NFL. He hasn't been in the NFL since. He took a knee. He started the entire... obviously
that's a movement.
He started the movement, obviously became much bigger because of the events of this year. But he started the movement when nobody was discussing it really. Nobody says we should kneel during the national anthem. And he wasn't kneeling to be disrespectful to the flag. He was kneeling to bring some sort of publicity or some, awareness. Thank you very much. Awareness to the social injustices that are going on in the United States. He said, especially,
he said that.
Yeah, and he said, right, especially, when, 90% or whatever the percentages of the NFL players are black, and here they are playing as if nothing else is going on in the United States when a lot was going on. And he says, he had to say something about it. Blue Ivy Carter is nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, guys.
What, from The Lion King?
Yeah, from
what song did she sing? No, she was nominated. She was nominated.
She was on Brown Skin Girl. She was on Beyonce's song Brown Skin Girl. She had a little part that she sang in it.
Oh, is that it? I was going to say, what did she sing? Okay. Yeah. That's right. I'm reading here. It says, very good, Jonathan. She was alongside her mother and WizKid. Apparently, because she did I guess, participate in the song and sing a little bit. She is now the youngest. She's the youngest nominee in the history of the Grammy Awards.
Yeah.
No surprise there. Beyonce's kid would do that.
I don't even know what to say about that, other than let me drink some tea.
Right. I probably have a very unpopular opinion about that because of the Beehive being so aggressive.
Right.
But I feel like there's so many people out there that really actually deserve this nomination, and like her singing a little 3 seconds, 5 seconds in a song that luckily, your mother is a Beyonce. Everybody doesn't have that that luck to be born into musical royalty, when there's so many people out there that pour their heart and soul and money into their art and don't get any type of recognition to the point where they want to quit music. So, I mean, kudos to her. That's huge. But the Grammys is all bullshit to me.
I agree. BS.
Yeah.
BS.
Excusez-moi.
BS, Nesquik. BS. Yeah. All these award shows are.
It sure is.
Because if it wasn't BS, me, Jonathan, and Vanessa, we would all have Emmy Awards already.
There you go.
Right.
Emmys.
We deserve it.
Right.
Year after year.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's not going to be a Merry Christmas at the Kardashians because COVID has canceled their infamous Christmas party this year. Is that upsetting to you that the Kardashians are not having a Christmas party this year? Have you ever been invited to it? Maybe it would be upsetting if I would be upset if I was invited to it, and then this is the year I finally get invited, and now this is the year they cancel it. I go, damn, I'm really mad. I wanted to go, but if I'm not getting invited, do I really care?
No.
Do you?
I mean, people do.
People care
about. People care about stuff like this, even if they have nothing to do with them.
I don't know. I guess unless I'm going to the party, why do I care whether they're having their party or not?
I sympathize with them or empathize. Is that what it is?
I don't know. Empathize. Yeah, but everybody's going through this. Nobody could go to a Christmas party anywhere.
God forbid they couldn't have their grand winter ball. Like, excuse me.
But
what?
But the thing is, it's a big thing to them. So like I said, for me, it's a huge thing for me to go back home, even though it's not a huge party. But it's the fact that I can see my family when we don't see each other for a whole year. So when you have this has been a thing that they've done with their family even before they were born. It was a tradition that they've been doing. So to them, it's a big thing. To me, it's a big thing. I'm missing it, so I see where they.
I don't know because finally they're following COVID, protocol after having their party, on their private island in the Bahamas or wherever they went. But you know what? Why I find this whole thing so a little disturbing is the sense that everybody's living through this. Yeah. So why are they making this big? I don't get to have a Christmas party. I don't get to go to a Christmas party. Jonathan doesn't get to go home. Vanessa doesn't get to have Christmas party or what. Nobody gets to have it.
Right.
So why are we making a big deal about the Kardashians? They should be saying, we feel bad for everybody that's happening. Did they say anything about you or anybody else not being able to have a Christmas party? It's just about it's about their Christmas party.
No, but they also didn't write the article. That's the people. If the people didn't give a damn about them, then nobody would write articles on them.
I don't even know why we're talking about
them. All Chloe did was she tweeted.
On to the next T card.
Yeah, because they're not upset that we don't get to go to a Christmas party. Finally, it's never too late to get a tattoo, Jonathan. I said to myself, Uncle Brad, I think I'm at the age now that even if I wanted to get a tattoo, I think it's too old. Start wrinkling skin and stuff. Nobody wants to see a tattoo on a wrinkled skin guy. But you want to know what? Now that I read this card, maybe it's not too late for me. I don't have any tattoos, but maybe it's not too late for me because at age 62, Madonna finally got her first tattoo at age 62. The singer took to Instagram on Monday, December 7th to post a picture of her new design, inked for the very first time. The Material Girl star got the tattoo at the Shamrock Social Club in Hollywood, California. She documented the entire process from her consultation to the final result, and she chose to get LRDMSE, which is the initials of all her children, Lourdes, Rocco, David, Mercy, Stella, and Esther.
Aww.
She has an 8-year-old at age 62. That means she gave birth at 54, or did she
she has a lot of
or did she adopt? She adopted. Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow. I was going to say,
Brad, you should look at the pictures. Look at the pictures. She has a lot of adopted kids. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah.
If any
I can see now. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I didn't realize she gave birth to so many children. And then I was about to say, well, I guess it's not too late for me to have more kids, too, because she had kids at an older age.
Right.
All right. So
I like Madonna.
I like Madonna,
I think
too.
that's awesome.
I always liked Madonna, from voguing to Like a Prayer.
That was a good Madonna right there. Like a Prayer.
He only has 2, and then the other 4 are adopted.
Oh, is that it?
He has 2, and the other 4 are adopted.
Yeah, I have about 20 Madonna songs on my playlist, actually. Madonna has like, I don't want to say she's, I mean, I have thousands and thousands, but I know I have a lot. Maybe I don't have 20.
She's iconic.
Yeah.
She's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, she likes to keep her life private, but she did open up about motherhood. We're talking about her having 6 children during a 2019 interview with the Today Show. She said, it reminded me how precious time is and how each child requires attention and vigilance and guidance in a different way, and really you have to be ready for anything. First and foremost, they teach you to stop being obsessed with yourself because they're always there to throw a wrench into the works. Self-obsession is not allowed with children. That is for sure. You want to know why? You want to know why that's the case? Because children are basically self-obsessed with themselves. They don't care what's happening in mom and dad's life.
Of course not.
Just deal with my issues, period.
Right.
That all children, it doesn't matter anywhere in the world. I've never spoken to any parent who says, yes, I come home and my kids are more concerned about me than themselves. Never.
Right.
Never.
We sat down and spoke about my day.
Yeah, right. So Dad, how was work? Everything going well in your life? Nope. Just, Dad, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.